Hi Karim, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
How was your talk today?
Well, I thought it went very well. It was quite a challenge for me to present in front of a, well, mainly scientific audience, where I'm not used to that as a philosopher. But I thought it went, yeah, pretty good.
Can you please tell us what you talked about?
Well, I presented an argument from my field, from the philosophy of science, which is called the inductive risk argument, or the argument from inductive risk. And it's basically an argument that takes the possibility of scientific error in empirical science seriously, and that thinks about, that encourages scientists to think about potential consequences of potential error in their work.
In your talk, you also stated that good science does not need to be value-free. Can you please explain what this means?
Well, in practical terms, in particular when it comes to fields like toxicology or risk assessment and health risk assessment and so on, there you can clearly see that scientific errors, when scientific judgment turns out to be false eventually in the future, that could have serious consequences for the health of people, for instance, in that case. So, and scientists should be aware of that. They should think about what this could mean for their responsibility as scientists, and as the argument concludes, maybe that requires them to engage in normative thinking while they're actually doing their science.
You mentioned values. Can you please tell us what you mean exactly?
Oh, by values, I really basically mean, ethical and moral values, the value of human life, the value of human health, the value of treating each other with respect, and so on and so on. Responsibility as a value.
Does this mean that who someone is as a human being and what their values are will determine how they do their scientific work?
Well, it's to say that, like, every human being has certain views about, moral views, ethical views, maybe even political views, and scientists are usually forced to hold back these views. And maybe we should say, well, maybe we should open up the door a little bit to say, well, if you're a scientist, you don't have to be this, like almost like a knowledge-producing machine without having, without bringing your personal values into your work.
What is your advice to scientists how to include their personal values in their work?
Well, my advice would just be to say, yeah, be open about it. Be frank that, when you're uncertain as a scientist, communicate your uncertainty and say that sometimes, yes, when you characterize, as I said in my talk, when you characterize data, that it's not based on evidence. It's not, there are gaps, so to speak, for your own personal judgment in there, and be frank about this.
Thank you very much, Karim, for doing important research.